Every finance video tells you the same thing: cut the coffee, cancel the subscription, and stop eating out. And look, this is what I used to think a lot. But what do we do as Muslims when we actually do have money and we want to know the best way to use that money? So this video is different. These are the 10 things I believe that you should upgrade, the ones that will have the biggest impact on your mental health, your quality of life, and as being a Muslim. So one thing before we start, this video assumes that you've got the basics covered. So that includes things like an emergency fund, any sort of debt, you managed to sort that out. And if you haven't, then sort those out. That is really important before you start upgrading these things. The first upgrade is one that a lot of people put off and then regret putting that off, and that is travel. And you're only young once. This sounds obvious, but think about how many people say that, yeah, I'll travel when I retire, and then retirement comes and they find that they actually can't. I remember after university, I spent 3 months backpacking, and a lot of that was down to like friends that really kind of encouraged me to do that. And backpacking involves you kind of traveling around, you're wearing a backpack, we were trying to make our money go a long way. And it sounds like it's something that wouldn't be that appealing as like really luxurious travel, but actually it was really fun. But this is something that you can't do, as you get older as well. Like even now at my age, like in my 40s, and I would struggle to do that backpacking now. I just don't have my knees, like my legs, my shoulders, all of that is not as strong as it used to be. Also, I've got kids as well, I've got my mother as well, so I want to kind of help out with the family as well, so I can't just go away for like a long period. And the version of you that can backpack through a country, a road trip across the continent, or explore something completely new, that version has an expiry date. Bill Perkins writes about this in Die with Zero, and this is the concept of spending your money at the right time in your life. Spending $1 or £1 or a taka, rupee, whatever it is, when you're at 35 gives a totally different return to spending that money when you're 65. Not because the trip is better, but because the memory dividend is much longer. You have many more years to draw on that experience. And my son, he loves asking me about these sort of things. He goes, I never realized you traveled there. I never realized you traveled there. And it's really fun to be able to kind of explain and tell him that. Although I think my wife's a bit worried that my son's going to be traveling a lot and she doesn't want him to be away as much. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. And also as Muslims, we're encouraged to see the earth, we're encouraged to travel around and see all the beautiful things that we have in this world. So when you do have some money, definitely travel. This is one thing I really recommend. Your health is your wealth, and I know that sounds like something that you just see some corny phrase and some fridge magnet somewhere, but honestly, it is the most important thing. Like most people have no idea, how well they're doing, healthy or inside. And honestly, if you're sick, you just can't do anything. And most of us don't take advantage of our health when we are young. So, I'm trying to spend more money on my health. Like one of the things I'm doing are these private blood tests from a company called Do Health. So they do like free blood tests every year. And one of the things I realized was my uric acid was quite high. So I'm able to kind of deal with that much sooner than if I hadn't done that blood test. And once I know what's going on with my body, I can then deal with those things, like maybe it's supplements, maybe it's vitamin D, maybe it's iron, all of those sort of things. So like having good health is so important, and it doesn't go down to just blood tests, but also, maybe you might get a personal trainer, you might buy some certain equipment, like I have like kettlebells that are really good. Your health is not a cost. It's the foundation to every other upgrade on this list. If you're not healthy, you can't work. If you're not healthy, you can't travel. If you're not healthy, you can't look after your family. I mean, that becomes like one of the most important things. And as Muslims, we know that your body is like a amana. So amana means like a trust from God, from Allah. So we need to try our best to look after it. Now this is another one that is like really important, but many people don't realize this, especially like Muslims. And most people don't understand how employer pension matching works. And honestly, this is important and will really help people. At a work pension, if you put money into your pension, your employer will match that. Typically, say if you put in 5%, then they will put in 5% as well. That is 100% return on your money before it's even invested. And this might be mainly for the UK people out there, but here's a good example. If you put in £100, they will put £100 into your pension. That's 100% return, and there's like no investment that will give you a return just like that. So, and honestly, pensions can be halal as well. You just need to make sure you invest in like a Sharia compliant pension. And if you're like a higher rate taxpayer, the government adds 40% tax relief on top of that as well. So you could put it into your pension before you pay any tax. Here's a mistake I made for years, and I see this constantly. It's like money just sitting in your account doing absolutely nothing. Not invested, not in the high yield savings like Islamic account. It's just sitting there losing value to inflation every single month. But I think as Muslims, we're very careful about interest. However, one thing I want to stress is that compounding interest is not what we want as Muslims. This is something we want to be avoiding. What we do want is compounding returns. And this can work really well for us. And actually compounding returns can give you some amazing returns on your investments. And this is something that took me a long time to understand. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my money. What's going to happen? But the way Islamic sort of savings account work is like they base it on kind of like you get profit or returns from the money that you put into the account. So like I use one from Gatehouse. There's other ones out there as well. And like instead of just letting it sit in your account, just put it into one of these Islamic savings accounts. And what we want to do is we want to go down the compounding returns scenario. So we want to have our money invested so that it pays returns that compound over like 10, 20 years, 30 years. So we're looking about the long term. So don't think that just because we avoid interest doesn't mean we can't do compounding returns. So it's important to not have your money just sitting there and getting hit by inflation. You know, in the UK, in the US as well, there's ways to just invest your money and just let it compound. And as Muslims, we can do this. This is Sharia compliant. I used to really worry about, oh my God, it's going to be interest. I want to avoid that. But no, there is ways to do that. Loads of people talk about it. It's just about going out there and just kind of learning about it. The next thing I'm going to talk about is your workspace. Honestly, this makes a massive difference. You spend so much time working, and to have like a nice, comfortable place to work in is just, honestly, it makes such a big difference. And it's not just about aesthetics, it's about your performance, your peace of mind. So that's like having a proper desk setup, having like a fast, reliable laptop. Another really important thing I would say is just having a really big monitor as well. That a lot of people I know, especially my workplace, they just kind of use the monitor on the laptop, and it's really bad for your back. So again, it kind of goes down the health thing as well. I had my laptop for like a very long time. I wanted to squeeze out every little bit of juice out of it. But what I found was as it got older and older, I was really kind of struggling, and the laptop, I really should have replaced it much earlier, and wish I had done that before. And another thing that I'm looking at doing is like getting more plants as well. I mean, having plants and stuff just make you feel better, and you know, they're kind of good for you. The color green as well has some sort of scientific evidence to show that it's very good for you. So yeah, I'm definitely kind of looking at all of that sort of stuff. Another one is as a, you know, I want to be a content creator, is like investing in tools. Like I have like a light, I have like an overhead camera, I've got like an iPhone as well. So investing in new tools just makes such a big difference. And you know, a focused, comfortable, well-equipped workspace pays for itself with work getting done faster, and you're just going to be in a better mood. The book Die with Zero makes a point that generally changed how I think about hobbies and things like that. You know, every experience has a memory dividend. So, you know, the value does not end when the experience ends. You keep drawing from that memory for years. I talk about it with my son, my families, my friends and stuff. And it's fun to kind of reminisce and talk about these sort of things. And for example, I'm going on holiday to Spain, like to Mallorca, which is like this little island. And, you know, I thought, oh my God, it'd be amazing to hire a car and just drive around there. But then I thought, oh God, I don't want to spend that money on there. Don't want to spend money on a car. Should I just travel around with taxis and stuff like that? And the book kind of made me realize, look, I don't know when I'll next be in Mallorca again. So let me just hire a car and make the most of that experience, even though it will cost me some money. And one of the things that I've learned is that people with rich lives outside of work are more resilient inside work. And something Dr. Rangan Chatterjee talks about as well, like having hobbies and interests just kind of makes you more resilient to stress and things that happen. You know, you can handle pressure faster, and you can also recover faster. Like some of the hobbies, they don't even need to cost money. Things like cooking is amazing. You know, you cook some food or something like that, you know, it's amazing. Or we're having some friends over as well, going out running, swimming, anything like that. But the one that I really love at the moment is just reading a book that you really love, like a fiction book as well. You can kind of really get into. So I'm reading this book called Red Rising. It's like a science fiction type book. And honestly, it's been really good. And the story's really fast and fast paced, and it's got twists and turns and stuff like that. Also, yeah, the other book that I'm loving at the moment is the James Dyson book, Against the Odds. And yeah, it's just about how he built up Dyson. And yeah, honestly, finding a good book is just amazing. Like, it's better than films, TVs, anything. And this is not un-Islamic, you know. Islamic emphasizes balance as well. We need to work, we need to rest, and you know, we need to have that balance between this world, the dunya, and the akhirah, which is the afterworld. So, you know, upgrade your hobbies, book the experience, invest in parts of life that exist outside of your work. Your future self will remember those experiences, you know, not the extra time you spend just like, you know, on your laptop and on the screen. Running a household is like a full-time job on top of your actual sort of full-time job. And, you know, if you have a partner, children, parents who need support, you know, that load can kind of compound quickly. So money spent on domestic friction is some of the best money you can spend. You know, you can spend money on a cleaner. A cleaner can come to your house and just kind of clean and just save you like an hour or a couple of hours every week. I've had like a gardener come in and just kind of do some of the big work, and honestly it's made a big difference. You even get like a builder as well to fix things like your bathroom, or you've got a bit of work or something like that to do. You know, you might also can do things around your parents' house as well, like if they need some help or anything like that. So yeah, honestly, this is something the book Art of Spending Money talks about. You know, your time is that one finite resource that is always getting kind of used up. So, you know, think about using money to give you back more time, and yeah, which is something that I'm sort of thinking about a lot. And you know, having more time and less friction and things that you have to deal with, you know, just makes you more calmer, and it's a more present version of yourself showing up at home with your family, friends, parents and everyone. And this one is different from everything else on the list, and this is probably the most important one. You know, when you have more, definitely kind of give more. I know this sounds counterintuitive in a video called Upgrade These 10 Things, but this is the most powerful upgrade on the list because it upgrades your akhirah, your afterlife. And there's a term we have which is sadaqah jariyah, which means ongoing charity. So it's one of the 3 things that continues to benefit you even when you're not around in this world. I remember one of my sort of family friends who was talking about, yeah, he's doing quite well business wise, and he goes, you know, whenever you give money to charity, you end up getting much more money back yourself. And I believe there's like a hadith as well about this as well. You know, within Islam we have a famous hadith or lesson from the Prophet, peace be upon him, which is that wealth is not decreased by charity. And honestly, he was telling me as well, the more money you give to charity, honestly, you find that you don't get poorer, you actually get more money coming in. And honestly, I've seen that in my own life as well, where I've done things and, you know, I've given a bit of money to charity or something like that, and then somehow just randomly, like just these other ways of money has just come to me. And you know, every other upgrade on this list kind of improves your dunya, but this one improves your dunya and your akhirah, so your this world and the hereafter. Every pound you put into the market, it can go up or down. You know, you invest in something, but every pound you invest in yourself just kind of compounds, guaranteed. Skills are one asset that no recession, no redundancy and no market crash can kind of take from you. And you know, and there's plenty of free resources out there. You know, YouTube alone, you can learn a lot of different things and world-class education. But here is what paid training gives you that free content often doesn't. It gives you some structure, it gives you accountability, and you know, and there could also be a community as well. Like when I first got into YouTube and content creation, I got like a course that I paid for. I used like a bunch of different courses on the Ali Abdal. I've done the Think Media course. And yeah, it kind of really helped me kind of learn about editing, learn about scripts, learn about equipment, and still, you know, I've got a long way to go, but it kind of really helped me. And just by getting that course and learning these skills, and there's so many things you can learn out there, like, you know, you can learn tech skills, AI skills, automation. The world is moving so fast. And I mean, also learn skills that, you know, that you just enjoy. Like, for example, I really want to learn how to read, write and talk in Arabic. So that's what I'm doing, because, you know, that's a skill that can definitely help me in the future, you know, speaking with someone that's Arabic. And yeah, I'd love to learn other languages as well. It could be some sports skill, could be like anything. So any sort of skill can help you. And also skills can help you in other areas as well. Like one skill in Arabic could then help me learn, like, you know, just that habit of discipline of learning that language can help me within discipline in learning other things. Now, last one, I know this might feel like the most trivial thing on the list, but stay with me. And there's a concept in psychology called enclosed cognition. And yeah, I heard about this from a video by Nisha, and I was like, whoa, I was really surprised by this. But then it kind of made sense as well. You know, the clothes you wear do not just signal to other people, they signal to you as well. You know, when you put on gym clothes, you know, you are more significantly likely to work out. You know, dress well and you perform better. You know, I've definitely seen it. When I wear like good clothes and I feel good about myself, I definitely perform better. You know, how you dress affects how you feel, and how you feel affects how you show up. And you know, I love going to like weddings and seeing family and friends like that. And you know, when you go to a wedding, you wear like a suit, it feels great, you take pictures and stuff like that. And you know, it's not something just for like the girls and the ladies and stuff like that. It's always nice, like, just to wear something good. And I'm not talking about designer labels and things like that. It could be just whatever, but just something that fits good, feels good. That's the most important thing. And from the book Diary of Zero, you know, he would say is like, do not save your best for a special occasion. You know, wear the clothes today, wear the clothes tomorrow. You know, today is the special occasion. So, you know, I remember I used to have clothes with labels and I used to put it in my wardrobe and I was like, no, I'm gonna wait for a special occasion when we're going out somewhere special. And then before you know it, you know, it's been months and months before you worn that thing and you've kind of used up time that you could have enjoyed with that item of clothes. So yeah, let me know what you think and which one of these things you will upgrade. Assalamu alaikum.